I just gotta stop him again.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Vinny's Take Week 1 Revisited. This afternoon, or this morning, I'm going to take a look at the Week 1 NFL games and give my thoughts and opinions on them. My take. We start with Thursday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers 10, the Chicago Bears 3. This game was so exciting that even the players playing it fell asleep. Lower scoring than the Super Bowl. The difference was the Super Bowl actually was good defense. This was preseason football. This is why players should play more in the preseason. It just wasn't good football. How about the Washington Redskins building a 17-0 lead on the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me turn down the Sack the Future here. How about the Washington Redskins building a 17-0 lead to the Philadelphia Eagles, and then Philadelphia coming back to win 32-27. Redskins fans are distraught. Even with Case Keenum, they look good at first, but eventually if they continue playing like that, it won't be long before Dwayne Haskins is in. As for the Eagles, Deshaun Jackson's return was a magical one, as he had something like 3 touchdowns, including a deep one, at least one deep one, maybe 2, that went all the way to the house. Eagles are 1-0. The Buffalo Bills. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Even today, in 2019, that still holds true, as they fall behind 16-0, which included a safety which may not have been a safety, but again, it all depends on what color glasses you look at the NFL through, whether they're green or red in that case. Of course, if you're colorblind, I don't know how you look at them. But the Bills come all the way back. Josh Allen, the second-year quarterback, leads the Bills back, and they finally start running the game. My opinion on this is that the Bills should have been running earlier in the game because it was working. Singletary and Frank Gore, they are your key. The Bills were a great running team last year, and even though LaShawn McCoy is now wearing the red of Kansas City, the Bills need to pound the rock. Now, on to Harry Anderson of the New York Jets. This guy, last season, a block in the back on kicker Steven Hauschka that was not called, and then this season, 2 extremely late hits on Josh Allen, neither called, especially one where he crawled on his knees at least 3 to 5 feet to hit Allen in the legs from behind. NFL, that's the kind of thing that they had the Bills quarterback been named Tom Brady, Harry Anderson would have been fined, suspended, and his firstborn child would have had to be named Roger Goodell. But because it's Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, nothing will be done. Mark my words. The Atlanta Falcons. Well, Minnesota looks good. Atlanta, I hope you're not as bad as you look. Although you did score 12 points later in the game against the Vikings, losing 28-12, especially being down 28-0 early on. Not a good look for the Falcons. But the Vikings, they look good. Will they return to their magic from 2 years ago? We'll have to wait and see. How about the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson? Who didn't draft him in fantasy and wish they did? I went to look at the waiver wires last night while watching Monday Night Football to see if he was available, and unfortunately a team by the name of the Moist Towelettes had taken him, and Lamar Jackson was not available. 5 touchdown passes. 5! This guy proved not only can he play, but he can throw the deep ball. The Ravens' offense has never looked like this. Definitely justifying them moving on from Joe Flacco. As far as the Dolphins, the rumors of them tanking the season are hard to disagree with when you show up and you only score 10 points and you give up 59. What other Dolphins rumors are circulating that the Dolphins players want out? They're demanding trades. Haven't heard anything as of yet, though. The Kansas City Chiefs going to Jacksonville in the sweltering humidity of the Jacksonville, Florida sun, where ESPN officials were saying that the Jaguars had a good chance and Kansas City dominated. Now I know some people are going to say, well, Nick Foles was injured. He was, put on IR. The Chiefs were still leading before that. In fact, Pat Mahomes, who I, myself, have predicted will win the NFL MVP, the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl MVP, was showing it in Week 1. The Kansas City Chiefs all over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 40-26, but it really wasn't even that close. The Tennessee Titans smack the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, who the football geniuses at ESPN and everywhere are saying have a shot. People were even picking them to win the Super Bowl on the pregame show. The Tennessee Titans go into the dog pound and smack them around like a little bitch. 43-13, Tennessee takes care of Cleveland. Now, I'm not saying that Tennessee is that good, but is Cleveland that bad again? We'll have to see. The LA Rams travel cross-country to face the Carolina Panthers and beat them 30-27. Cam Newton looked decent, but he's got a new vegan diet going. And if it's anything like what happened with Arian Foster when he went on the vegan diet, where he went from an all-pro style running back to starting to get injured, hopefully that doesn't happen with Cam Newton. Now, he's a better more well-equipped player to have a lifestyle change like that, but we're going to have to see. Me, personally, I can't imagine not eating meat. But look at me. I don't look like Cam Newton either. I'm not a NFL MVP type quarterback. But the Rams get the win 30-27 after traveling all the way across the country. They are proving that their Super Bowl hangover, well, at least through week 1, that they're not having one. The Cincinnati Bengals go all the way up to Seattle, and Jadeveon Clowney comes up big in his Seattle debut, and the Seattle Seahawks win 21-20, a 1-point win, but it was a dogfight. The Bengals, led by Andy Dalton, who had a career-high 418 yards. The Bengals look to be back, look to be good again, but, you know, it's hard to go into Seattle, especially being from an Eastern, even though it's Mid-Eastern team, and go all the way up there and win. But they sure proved that they almost could. The Indianapolis Colts take the San Diego Chargers to overtime. After the Chargers built a 24-6 lead, the Colts come all the way back, tie the game, put it in overtime, but the Chargers get the win. 30-24, and Austin Eckler, now there's a name I should look to see if he is available in fantasy, had a 7-yard rushing touchdown in overtime to win the game for the Chargers. The Colts want to prove that Jacoby Brissett can handle his own, and they won't miss Andrew Luck. At first it didn't look good, but Marlon Mack was leading the Colts charge, and Austin Eckler helped him out, Austin Eckler's for the charge. Marlon Mack and Jacoby Brissett led the Colts all the way back and almost won the game. The San Francisco 49ers, 3 interceptions, where they only had 2 total in 2018. They topped their 2018 numbers with 3 interceptions. They defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-17, and Jimmy Garoppolo is back. He didn't look as bad as he did in his preseason debut against the Broncos. Boy, that preseason game against the Broncos really made me think that, well, the 49ers are going to be garbage. But they're not, at least not in week 1. Of course, we don't want to overreact. So many times pundits overreact after week 1 and crown the Cowboys champions when it's only 1 game. We'll get to the Cowboys next. The Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott throwing a career high, well, ties a career high with 4 touchdown passes as they beat the New York Giants 35-17. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Eli Manning and what he's going to do. In fact, if you watch the Sack to the Future game that's on right now, the 1963 Week 7 game between the Houston Oilers and the Houston Texans, you will know that John M. is a Giants fan, and he was talking about he believes this is Eli Manning's last season. I'm going to start a conspiracy theory. I know I said yesterday I don't believe in them, but I do not believe it's Eli Manning's last season. I believe Eli Manning will do a Brett Favre and will retire, but then come back and get the Giants to drop him, cut him, whatever, release him, and he will be an Indianapolis Colt. Anyway, the Giants lose. They didn't look good, but it was on the road in Dallas. They come home to play the Buffalo Bills this coming Sunday, and yours truly, as well as John M., will be in the stands for the game. Who will win, the Bills or the Giants? You know where I side. The Detroit Lions and the Arizona Cardinals, 27-27. Now, before I get to the game, let me just talk about ties. In the American sports, there are only 2 professional or collegiate sports that allow ties, team sports. The NFL and soccer. Soccer, I don't talk about. I don't know anything about. I don't like it. I'm not going to talk about it. But the NFL should get rid of the ties. High school has a rule in overtime where you go for the 10-yard line. College from the 25. I say the NFL adopt something similar. Start from the 40, give each offensive a possession, and see who wins. After 2 overtimes, no more 2-point conversions, just like in college. And then, if you get to a 6th overtime like in college, this new rule, which I can't wait to see, the 2-point shootout. Somebody needs to win. Because ties, as I believe it was Don Meredith back on a Monday Night Football in the 70s once said, tying a game is like kissing your sister, and nobody wants to do that. The New England Patriots. 33, Pittsburgh Steelers 3. Very disappointing effort by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I did not expect this. New England looks to be the best they've been in a long time, and that's really scary because the Buffalo Bills don't have a lot going for them. In the history of the NFL, they haven't won a Super Bowl. They have 2 AFL title games. They have a couple things, though. They have the greatest comeback of all time, and they are the only team to ever go to 4 straight Super Bowls. AFC, I'm sending out a plea, whether it's the Bills or anybody else, stop the Patriots. Because if New England goes to the Super Bowl this year, it's 4 straight. And they've won some. So Buffalo's record won't mean anything other than they were the first to do it. Now, obviously, I'd rather have a Super Bowl win too for Buffalo, but let's be real. They're a young team. Young teams, unless you're the Cowboys in the 90s, don't usually win. Monday Night Football started off tremendous. Just a tremendous game between the Houston Oilers. I'm sorry. the Houston Texans, and the New Orleans Saints. Everybody thought New Orleans had the game won. It was 27-21. Then Deshaun Watson, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now, if he can stay healthy, leads the Texans right down and hits the receiver. I'm drawing a blank. DeAndre Hopkins, I believe, for a touchdown to give the Texans a 28-21 win with like 43 seconds left. And the Saints only had one timeout. And they didn't use it. They start moving right down the field. Drew Brees hits here. Drew Brees hits there. And you know why I like Drew Brees? Because like Tom Brady, there's only 2 quarterbacks in the NFL who are older than me. Drew Brees is 3 months older. Tom Brady's 2 years older. So I may not be a Saints or Patriots fan, but I like the fact that there are guys older in the NFL than me. So anyway, they get down, they finally use their timeout and set up for the game-winning field goal by Will Lutz, 58 yards. This kid is money. I bet the Chicago Bears wish they had somebody like him in the playoffs last season. I know the Buffalo Bills could have used him back in 1991, but he probably wasn't even born then. Finally, the Monday Night Football ends with the soap opera that is the Oakland Raiders playing the last ever Monday Night Football game in the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. The last ever time Monday Night Football will have the baseball infield on it. And if the Oakland A's don't make the playoffs, it could be the very last time you ever see a baseball infield on an NFL game. So let's dry your eyes, wipe the tears, especially if you live in Oakland. The Raiders came out to play last night. They wanted to prove that the Antonio Brown saga does not define them, that they are a good team, and David Carr leads the Raiders to a 24-16 victory. Josh Jacobs, who happens to be on my fantasy football team, gets 113 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns. Not enough to bring me back to beat John M., who's swearing up a storm in the Sack of the Future game. What is the score?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, with 6 seconds left, 34-31. The Texans just took the lead. You can check that game out on the John M. channel or see in the Sack of the Future 1963 playlist on my channel, the Vinny X Wolf. But anyway, back to the Raiders and Broncos. So the Raiders get the win. The Broncos made a game of it late. Oh my God, he's at the 1 yard line. This ain't good. This ain't good at all. All right, back to the game. The Raiders win. So after 1 week, I'm not going to tell you where the playoff standings are because, honestly, it doesn't matter. But I will say this. By virtue of the fact that they beat a divisional opponent, the Bills are currently in first place. Hopefully we can keep that going. So that's week 1 in the NFL. Can we get a Hail Mary? Nope.
Never mind that.
All right, well, the Houston Texans get the upset on the Houston Oilers in Sack of the Future 1963. And until next time, I'm Vinny Vincent. God bless America.